As it was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Amen. In the shade of an oak, down by the river, sit an old man and a boy, setting sails, spinning tales, and fishing for whales with a lady that they both enjoy. Well, it's the same damn tune. It's the man in the moon. It's the way that I feel about you. And with no place to hide, I looked in your eyes, and I found myself in you. I looked to the stars, tried all of the bars, and I nearly gone up in smoke. Now my hand's on the wheel of something that's real, and I feel like I'm going home. So that shade of that oak down by the river, that's what I'm creating these little videos for you, and have the noise of the outside world kind of calm down so that you can hear better the song that love is singing to you, so that you can discern, to create these little glades of the shade and the water and the people that you're at peace with. And in that stillness, be able to hear better the song that love has been singing to you your whole life and always will. You and everybody that you know. That song is being sung to us. One part of what's being sung is that there's no separation between you and love. There's no separation between you and God. No separation between you and other people and me. Of course, we imagine that there's separation. We see it, we feel it. But that's an illusion. It's our thoughts and fears, emotions that give the illusion of that separation. The song is telling us that there's nothing permanently bad ever going to happen to you or to anybody that you care about. Nothing permanently bad. Stuff happens. But there's no permanency about the bad. There's no hell. There's no demons. Maybe eventually we can even see we have no enemies. We have only, there's people that we think are our enemies, or they think they're our enemy and they're doing something to get even with us, or make sure they control us, or punish us, or something. All of it illusions. Now this particular glade that we're in today, the video, it tells, let's call it discernment. It tells the story, two stories, of course, parallel, one from one alluded to in the book of Matthew, and one of them alluded to in the names of the people in the genealogy in the opening part of the book of Matthew. And both of the stories basically say, here's a person who was better than everybody else around them insofar as everybody could perceive that. And one of those people is John the Baptizer, and he was very strict about everything. You can read up about that, about what he was like in the 4 Gospels that talk about him. But he was purer than everybody, so he thought. And the other one is Judah and Tamar, and that's the first woman's name that we see in the genealogy. And Judah was elsewhere called the Lion of Judah. He was the biggest and best and most powerful, so on. And so we got John the Baptizer and Judah, and as their stories are unfolded, each one of them in different circumstances comes to say, the other person is better than me, more powerful than me, more righteous than I am. So the stories of the change that happens in these two lives. And of course, we don't think we're the best and baddest that there's ever been, and the most powerful, or do we? In our heads, in our egos, we kind of nurse ego illusions like that. No need to get into it right now. We nurse ego illusions like that. In our heads, we're the brightest and the bestest and the most, whatever matters to us, whatever value, whatever external value we measure ourselves by. In our heads, we imagine that we're the best. And this part, this verse in the song brings us to discernment about seeing that for what it is. A friend of mine used to say, don't ever look for the truth, because the truth will always evade you. Rather, he said, look for the illusion, and when you see the illusion for what it is, it will fade away like the morning mists, and the truth will come to you bright and clear. And that's what this stanza or verse of the song tells us. Now, John the Baptizer, you can read his story. He lived out in the desert. He didn't have anything to do with people, because people were soiled and unclean in his sort of theology. They sinned, or and he lived away from them, and he would come to the edge of the villages of wherever they were and call to people, repent, prepare ye the way of the Lord. And he himself kept himself from all forms of sin. I heard about a place, a religious college in the South somewhere, and on their little flyer that they sent around hoping to recruit people to come and stay at their college, on the little flyer it said 22 miles from the nearest form of sin. And pretty clear, I'm making a little fun, but I'm not knocking them. It's clear that they thought that sin was something out there, a bar, or in today's we'd say a dispensary, or a dance hall, or some kind of bad place where bad people hung out and did bad things. And John the Baptizer's theology was very similar to that. And he kept himself from all forms of sin all of his life. And he thought he was so powerful and good and straight, and yet in his preaching he said, the one who comes after me is more powerful than I am. I'm not even worthy to take his muddy shoes off. That one, which the story presents, that one is Jesus, of course. Now, the story of Judah and Tamar is more involved than that. This takes place, this story, he's the fourth person in the genealogy. Abraham's son Isaac, Isaac's two sons, Esau and Jacob carries the lineage. Then Jacob, one of Jacob's many sons, he has 2 wives and 12 sons and some daughters. That's Judah. One of them is Judah. They're goat herders. They're following their flocks or leading their flocks of mostly goats, maybe some sheep, maybe a camel or 2 or more. And in the very beginning at Abraham's time, it's a very small group of people wandering in the deserts of the Middle East, semi-deserts, and having to move on when the animals had eaten all the available grass. And there were lots of other groups that did that, and a lot, they're called in the Bible simply Canaanites, but that was just a kind of a catch-all phrase. There were some of those groups are still with us today, still living the same way, like the Bedouin of North Africa and the Middle East and so on. So there's no towns. There are walled cities that these people could go into during the daytime to trade goats for whatever they needed and so on. Walled cities like Jericho and other ones. But there's no towns like we would understand it, and very, very little agriculture as we would understand it, except near these walled cities, which had guards or armies and so on. So the times are very rustic and very simple. And Judah has 3 sons, and when the first one gets of marrying age, he wants to find her a wife, which would mean not like a dating show or something, but to make an arrangement with one of these other little groups of people that are wandering all over the place, to get a wife for his son, and the wife would then come and live with his clan. That was the process, and it was a respectable way of arranging their lives. So he goes and talks with another clan leader who's of a different language, a different race, we would say, a different ethnic group. And it's fair to speculate that that woman that their little tribe were Bedouin, who, see, there's a story that happened way back when, and that's what I'm telling, but then there's the telling of the story, and the telling of the story happens 1,000 years later. As the books, what we call the Old Testament, as those books start getting written down and so on. And the telling of the story lasted all that time, all those years of wandering and all the different things that happened, and the telling gets shaped by the way it's retold in the different contexts that it's told in. So the story says that Judah arranges for arranges for a wife for his son from another tribe. And shortening the story, it doesn't work out, and his son dies, and without leaving any heirs. And they say, as Moses told us, or something like that, in Judaic law, there isn't any law yet. There's just practicality, and most of all, there's a drive, a very important, you could say, evolutionary biology imperative to continue the tribe's existence through the next generation. So it's real important that Judah get a grandson to ensure his continuance into the future. So the law says that if a man dies and leaves no children, then his brother should take the widow as his own wife and raise up children, it says, for the older brother who's now dead. that's the way they understood things, and it may seem a little odd to us, but it was a good system, lasted for a long time. So Judah marries Tamar to his second son. And another, we can read it if you want in the story there in Genesis 38. That doesn't work out either. The second son dies and doesn't have any children. There's a third son who's, it looks to be in the story that he's a teenager. So Judah says to Tamar, look, don't go back to your own ways and your own clan. Just go stay with your father's tent for a little while until my third son grows up big enough to marry, and I will give you this son to be your husband. So he thinks about that, and she says okay, and she goes back like a widow to stay in her father's encampment. But Judah gets to thinking about it and decides, you know, he doesn't know this woman, and she's, you know, from some other tribe with another religion, and who knows what their beliefs are, and he gets cold feet, and he decides, he just keeps putting off the time his third son is going to marry this woman. He says, basically, you know, she's already killed two sons of mine through her witchcraft or something like that. So he never fulfills his vow to marry her third son to him. Why that mattered is Tamar, and the story's told now, Tamar wants to marry into this particular tribe or clan, apparently because it's more status or something like that. But in the story, it's just that, you know, her father-in-law asks her and she says yes. And then he doesn't. So the story says then, one day, several months later apparently, or years, we don't know, Judah is going off somewhere on foot, and she disguises herself as a prostitute with a veil and sets up a purple tent on the path where Judah is going to be going to and coming back from, where his men are working, shearing the sheep, it says. So she disguises herself, seduces him, Judah, and conceives. And then the minute Judah's gone, she packs up her tent, goes back to her father, hides it all, pretends nothing happened. Some time goes by, and Tamar's family goes and rats her out to Judah and says, your daughter-in-law has played the harlot and is with child. And Judah says, kill her, burn her. And she says, this is in a gathering around the campfire, some kind of gathering, and she says, the owner of this signet ring and of this kind of we would say driver's license, but something that's definitely his that marks him, it's a riding crop or something like that. And she says the owner of these is the father of the child. And they take it to Judah, and of course he recognizes this is his own ring and his own riding crop. And he says in front of everybody, she is more righteous than I. And without understanding the culture very well, it's hard for us to see how huge that was. You know, it's like the president or someone like that saying that some servant in the White House was more worthy of being president than he was. It's huge. But of course, for the point of the story in the glade, the point is that, like John the Baptizer, Judah discerns that the other person is more better and different, righter than he is. So discernment it's not about putting yourself down, but about lifting the other person up. It's not saying, you should go and punish yourself and say a bunch of words or sackcloth and ashes or some kind of putting yourself down. Oh, I'm a terrible father, I'm a terrible prophet, and no. It's about recognizing the value and the worth of other people. Not being humble, but discerning bigger and deeper truths than the way the world judges. It's about discerning love, creating things in the world. About love fixing the things that aren't right and making them right through love, not through coercion or manipulation, but through love. Now, it's not that Tamar loved Judah. The story is very clear, saying they did not have a relationship after that one time when she disguised herself. They didn't get married and live happily ever after. It doesn't say anything at all really about Tamar or Judah for that matter, except that it comes the moment to give birth, and it's a very strange story which we'll look at in the next episode here, which is called Relenting, and it's episode 5. So there's nothing in there about their future. The story, the love story, is over, and it's not and they lived happily ever after kind of love story. So it's about discerning the impossible happening. It's about we could say, kind of church talk, we could say the miraculous. It's about seeing in your own life the things that have happened that were impossible, and yet they did, and it's discerning love trying to clue you in, God trying to clue you in, trying to wake you up to be able to see what's really going on, and how the song of love is playing in your life, singing to you, calling you in to sing along with it. How it's about discerning, you seeing this invisible, impossible spirit carrying you through life, through all the things you're worried about in the past. Some of them came to pass and some of them didn't, but you got through all of it or you wouldn't be here. And the song is for everybody, but not everybody can hear it. So it's about discerning that for some reason you've been given the heart to see this song, to hear it, to see it unfolding in your life, changing you, making you become the person that you already were, always were, making you part of the miracle. And the miracle is the impossible made real. If my words did glow with the gold of sunshine, and my tune were played on the harp not strung, would you hear my voice come through the music? Would you hold it near as if it were your own? It's a hand-me-down. The thoughts are broken, perhaps they're better left unsung. I don't know. to fill the air, ripple in still water, when there is no pebble tossed, no wind to blow. Reach out your hand. If your cup be empty, if your cup is full, may it be so again, let it be known. There is a fountain that was not made by the hand of man. There is a road, a central highway between the dawn and the dark of night. And if you go, no one may follow. That path is for your steps alone. Ripple in still water, when there is no pebble tossed, no wind to blow. You who choose to lead must follow, but if you fall alone, you should stand. Then who's to guide you? If I knew the way, I would take you home. Ripple in still water, when there is no pebble tossed, no wind to blow. So each one of these 42 spiritual experiences that we go through in becoming who we really are and who we always have been, each one of these 42 it's listening to the song and seeing what the song talks about in our own life. There's listening to it and listening to it and listening to it, and I don't mean the same verse or the same song I sing or the same video over and over again, because the song is being played everywhere. And it's listening to the song in all of its verses, in all of the places, all of the voices and hearts that bring you that song. And when you're singing it yourself to other people who will need it, do need it already, it's the hearing of the song that gives us the courage to look into our own lives and discern. And I think in our culture, when we do that kind of introspection, we pretty much come up with a oh no list. You know, we pretty much oy vey kind of thing. And so we covered up. The ego says, cover that up, don't let anybody know that. But the song is saying we're way better than we thought we were. And the people around us are way better than we thought they were also. John the Baptizer been strict with himself all his life, and he says, but the one coming after me is more powerful than me, more righteous, more, he doesn't say loving and kind, because he doesn't think Jesus is going to be loving and kind. He thinks Jesus is going to get rid of all the sinners right away. He's wrong. And at some point he recognizes that later in the story. And Judah's been the lionheart who adheres to the law, that he understands it. Maybe it's words his grandfather or great-grandfather passed down to him. I don't know. But he's the biggest troll in the valley. And he sees through that, discerns through that, and he's going to burn this daughter-in-law of his. And the song convinces him not to. And the song says, you're the father. These are the sons that you always wanted. Well, at that point they don't know it's twins. This is the son that you always wanted. This creature, this baby, is the fulfillment of your heart's longing and the fulfilling of the law that he believes exists, maybe does. And that's the way it is with discernment. It shows you that what you're getting in life is really what you really need. There's a verse in the song, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee. The third verse of that song says, there let my way appear, steps unto heaven, all that thou givest me in love is given. Angels to beckon me, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer, my God, to thee, nearer to thee. The song says, there let my way appear, show me the path that I'm on, to see that everything that you, meaning God, everything that life has been sending me was given in mercy. Angels to beckon me closer, nearer, my God, to thee. Life has been carrying us through the skies on a cloud. Doesn't look like it. Looked like all kind of trouble and tax audits or whatever might be happening, political wars, illness, death of a loved one. Only the song, only the voice of the lullabying God can convince us to see that this is love and that it's a wonderful gift to be going through all these things that we're going through. And it's not like that saying that says, oh, you know, what doesn't kill us will make us stronger. That may be true too, but it's not like that. It's not that no pain, no gain. It's that this, your life, is a gift. Unanticipated, undeserved, without any need for you to deserve it or to make good use of it, but rather to listen to the song. There's a place, you know, where a voice from heaven comes, where Jesus is and says, this is my Son, the beloved, in whom I am well pleased. Well, you are the son or the daughter, and God is extremely well pleased with you, no matter what you think of yourself. Discerning that is the further gift. Well, keep listening to the song, and we'll meet again soon.